Have you ever felt like your emotions control you more than you control them? Like one small comment can ruin your entire day, or a single mistake can send your mind spiraling into self-doubt. What if I told you that emotional intelligence isn't just a personality trait? It's a skill rooted deep in the wiring of your brain. Neuroscience now shows that you can literally train your brain to stay calm, composed, and emotionally strong, no matter what life throws at you. You see, emotional intelligence isn't about suppressing emotions or pretending to be okay. It's about understanding what's happening inside your brain when emotions rise and learning how to respond instead of react. And that begins with one key insight. Emotions are not your enemies. They are data. They are your brain's way of signaling what matters most to you. When you get angry, your amygdala, the small almond-shaped structure in the limbic system, lights up. It's the emotional alarm center of your brain. It evolved to keep you safe by detecting threats. But here's the twist. The amygdala doesn't distinguish between real danger and imagined fear. So, the same neural circuit that once protected your ancestors from predators now fires up when your boss criticizes you or when someone ignores your text. That's where emotional intelligence comes in. Neuroscientists have discovered that emotionally intelligent people have a stronger connection between their prefrontal cortex, the rational, decision-making part of the brain, and the amygdala. This connection acts like a bridge between emotion and reason. The stronger the bridge, the faster your brain calms down after stress. Think of it this way. Your prefrontal cortex is the wise, calm friend who tells your panicking amygdala, "Hey, it's okay. We're not under attack." Let's think this through. People with high emotional intelligence train this connection every day, sometimes without even realizing it. So, how do you build it consciously? The first step is awareness. Most people live inside their emotions without noticing them. They drown in anger, sadness, anxiety, without realizing that these feelings are signals, not life sentences. When you practice mindfulness or pause before reacting, you're actually engaging your prefrontal cortex and quieting your amygdala. In that pause, the brain rewires itself. Studies in effective neuroscience show that regular mindfulness practice increases gray matter density in the prefrontal cortex and reduces activity in the amygdala. In other words, the more you observe your emotions without judgment, the calmer your brain becomes over time. You're literally sculpting your emotional circuitry with attention. Now, here's something fascinating. Emotions spread through neural mirroring. When you walk into a room where everyone's anxious or angry, your brain picks up those emotional frequencies and mirrors them. It's a survival mechanism. But emotional intelligence allows you to resist that contagion. Instead of absorbing someone's chaos, you regulate your own nervous system first. Calm becomes your default setting, and from that calmness, you influence others. Let's take an example. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Instantly, your amygdala explodes with outrage. Your body floods with adrenaline and cortisol. But then, your prefrontal cortex steps in. It reminds you that getting angry won't change the situation. You exhale, feel the tension leaving your body, and refocus on your drive. That moment, when you choose to breathe instead of react, is neuroplasticity in action. You've just taught your brain a new emotional pattern. Emotional regulation doesn't mean you suppress anger or sadness. It means you process them intelligently. Neuroscience calls this top-down regulation. Instead of letting the lower, reactive parts of your brain control the upper, rational ones, you reverse the flow. The top of your brain manages the bottom. Neuroscience also highlights empathy, another key part of emotional intelligence. Empathy isn't just about being kind. It's a neurological skill. It activates mirror neurons in your brain that simulate another person's emotional state. But if you don't regulate your own emotions first, empathy can lead to emotional burnout. That's why emotionally intelligent people practice regulated empathy. They feel deeply, but they stay grounded. They don't drown in other people's emotions. Emotional self-regulation has a fascinating biological marker too: heart rate variability, or HRV. People with high emotional intelligence tend to have higher HRV, which means their nervous system can shift smoothly between stress and calm. When your HRV is high, you recover faster from emotional spikes. You're more adaptable, resilient, and centered. Here's the empowering part: you can train all of this. Simple daily habits rewire your emotional brain. Try this. The next time you feel triggered, name the emotion out loud. I'm feeling anxious. I'm angry. This simple act of labeling activates your prefrontal cortex and decreases activity in your amygdala. It sounds small, but it's one of the most powerful tools neuroscience has ever discovered. Another method is what researchers call reframing. When something goes wrong, your brain initially interprets it as a threat. But if you pause and reframe it, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? You switch your brain's chemistry from stress to learning mode. Dopamine and serotonin rise. You feel more control, more meaning, more calm. And here's a deeper truth: your emotional intelligence isn't fixed. Your neural pathways are plastic, always changing, always adapting. Every time you choose awareness over reactivity, compassion over judgment, or understanding over anger, you strengthen the neural circuits of calm and connection. You're literally redesigning your brain's architecture for emotional balance. But emotional intelligence isn't just about managing negative emotions. It's also about cultivating positive ones: gratitude, joy, awe. Neuroscience shows that when you regularly focus on gratitude, your brain releases dopamine and activates the same reward circuits that light up when you achieve something meaningful. That's why gratitude feels so good. It's the brain's natural way of reinforcing emotional stability. The more you practice emotional intelligence, the more your brain learns that safety comes from within, not from controlling the world around you. You begin to notice that chaos doesn't trigger you the same way. You stop chasing constant validation because your nervous system is no longer addicted to emotional highs and lows. Instead, you live from a calm center, a steady presence that others can feel even without words. And as you strengthen these pathways, something incredible happens. You become more compassionate, more emotionally flexible, more self-aware. You start understanding that every reaction is a choice, every emotion is a message, and every moment is a chance to rewire your brain toward peace. Your brain is an emotional prediction machine. It constantly scans your environment, anticipates outcomes, and prepares your body to respond. When it senses threat or uncertainty, the amygdala activates, flooding your system with stress hormones. When it perceives safety and control, the prefrontal cortex remains dominant, allowing you to stay calm. Emotional intelligence is not about suppressing emotions, but teaching the brain to interpret challenges as manageable rather than dangerous. Think of the last time you felt stressed. Perhaps someone criticized you, or a message made your heart race. In that moment, your brain reacted not to reality, but to a prediction shaped by experience. If criticism once meant danger, that pattern remains. Emotional awareness is the first step toward regulation. You cannot manage what you do not recognize. To retrain your brain, begin by noticing the gap between emotion and reaction. When triggered, pause. Breathe. Label your feeling. I feel anxious. I feel dismissed. Neuroscience shows that naming emotions activates the prefrontal cortex and calms the amygdala. This small act creates psychological distance, a reminder that you have emotions, but you are not defined by them. Each time you interrupt an emotional spiral and choose calm over chaos, you strengthen neural pathways of control. This is emotional muscle memory. Over time, calm becomes the brain's default state. Studies confirm that mindfulness can reduce amygdala size and increase gray matter in areas linked to empathy and awareness. Emotional contagion also plays a role. Mirror neurons cause your brain to reflect others' emotions. That is why emotionally intelligent individuals guard their inner equilibrium. They discern between their own feelings and those of others, refusing to absorb negativity. Leaders who master this radiate stability. Their calm regulates those around them. True emotional intelligence, however, is not suppression but transformation. Anger can evolve into clarity, fear into alertness, sadness into depth. Emotions are data, signals guiding behavior, not controlling it. When you meet them with awareness, they lose their power. Another key practice is cognitive reappraisal, reframing perspective. Interpreting stress as a challenge rather than a threat releases serotonin instead of cortisol, altering your brain chemistry. Simply shifting, "I can't handle this," to "this is an opportunity to grow," transforms both thought and body. The body itself is the entry point to calm. Slow breathing and relaxed posture signal to the brain that you are safe, restoring balance to your nervous system. Over time, this feedback loop rewires your baseline towards stability. Empathy is the highest form of regulation. A calm nervous system allows genuine connection without emotional overwhelm. Research links empathy to oxytocin release, which builds trust and strengthens bonds. To cultivate emotional intelligence, practice presence. Observe before reacting. Reframe challenges. Maintain boundaries without hardening the heart. Remember, emotional intelligence is not innate, it is trained. Imagine if more people lived this way. Workplaces led by regulated minds, relationships guided by calm awareness. The collective transformation would be profound. What emotional trigger have you learned to master? And how did you train your mind to stay composed? Share your thoughts in the comments. And if this message brought you insight, please like this video and subscribe for more on the psychology and neuroscience of emotional intelligence.